Welcome to January's bonus biography of Unmasking Life. I'm your host David, and today we're going to talk about Grigori Rasputin, the man who walked into power barefoot. History loves monsters because monsters excuse everyone else. But Grigori Rasputin was not born a monster, he was born into mud, snow, and obscurity, into a village that expected nothing from him and therefore feared nothing about him. Rasputin entered the world on January 21st, 1869, in the frozen Siberian village of Pokrovsky. He was illiterate for much of his early life, a peasant, a drinker, a sinner, a man marked early by contradictions, violence and tenderness, devotion and appetite, silence and excess. He did not rise through discipline, he rose through presence. In the 1890s, Rasputin wandered. Pilgrimage replaced structure, mysticism replaced education. He moved through monasteries not as a monk but as a disturbance. He prayed intensely, spoke strangely, and carried a gaze people remembered long after he left the room. There was something unsettling about him, not because he was eloquent, but because he was unguarded. He did not perform holiness, he embodied it in a way that frightened and attracted people at the same time. And that was the key. Rasputin understood something long before he could articulate it. People trust certainty above virtue. By the early 1900s, Russia was cracking under pressure. The old order trembled. Faith was eroding. The aristocracy was insulated, anxious, and desperate for meaning that felt alive rather than ceremonial. That desperation opened the door. When Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg around 1903 or 1904, he did not look like power, he looked like prophecy. At the heart of the empire sat the Romanov family, fragile, isolated, and terrified of losing control. Tsar Nicholas II ruled from 1894 with inherited authority but diminishing confidence. His wife, Alexandra Fyodorovna, carried a private agony. Her son Alexei, born in 1904, suffered from hemophilia, a disease that could kill him from a single fall. Medicine failed, prayer felt insufficient, fear became constant. And into that fear walked Rasputin. By 1905 through 1906, Rasputin had been introduced to the royal family. What followed has been distorted, exaggerated, and perhaps close to myth. But the core truth remains chillingly simple. Rasputin calmed the boy. Whether through hypnosis, intuition, prayer, or coincidence, Alexei's bleeding episode eased when Rasputin was present. For Alexandra, this was not superstition, it was salvation. Rasputin did not seize power, he was invited into it. By 1907, this peasant mystic was whispering into the ear of the most powerful woman in Russia. Letters overflowed with reverence. Trust deepened into dependency, and this dependency became authority without title. Rasputin advised appointments. He influenced decisions. He displaced ministers, especially during World War I, during 1914 through 1918, when Nicholas II left the capital to command the army in 1915, leaving Alexandra and Rasputin's influence unchecked at court. And yet, here is the uncomfortable truth. He did not invent the corruption, he merely exposed it. Rasputin lived a life of extremes. He preached repentance while indulging in excess. He spoke of God while pursuing desire. To the public, this was hypocrisy. To his followers, it was proof. A man who knew sin could guide others away from it. This is how charismatic power works, not by moral purity, but by psychological permission. By 1916, Russia was bleeding. War, poverty, hunger, revolution loomed, and among the aristocracy, one belief hardened into a consensus. As long as Rasputin lived, Russia would rot. So they decided he must die. The night of his murder, December 16th through 17th on the year 1916, is the reason Rasputin became immortal. In December of 1916, a group of nobles lured him into a palace on the Moika River in Petrograd. Among them was Felix Yusupov, a man desperate to restore order through blood. They poisoned Rasputin's wine. Nothing happened. They poisoned his cakes. Nothing happened. Finally, they shot him. He fell. They waited. He stood back up. Panic replaced planning. More shots followed. Rasputin staggered into the night, wounded but moving, blood staining the snow like a prophecy refusing to die. They chased him, they beat him, and they shot him again. And when they were certain he was dead, they bound his body and threw him into the frozen river. Days later, his corpse was recovered from the Neva River. His lungs were said to be filled with water, suggesting he may still have been alive when he hit the ice. True or embellished, the story didn't need accuracy anymore. It had achieved mythical status. Rasputin did not die like a man, he died like an omen. But here is the final brutal irony. Killing Rasputin changed nothing, because within 3 months in March of 1917, Nicholas II abdicated the throne. In July 1918, Nicholas, Alexandra, and their children were executed. The Romanov dynasty ended. Russia collapsed into revolution and civil war. Rasputin did not cause the fall of Russia, he was the symptom of a system already decaying. And this is why his story matters. Rasputin reveals what happens when institutions lose credibility, faith becomes theatrical, and desperation replaces discernment. He shows us how power flows not to the righteous, but to the convincing, not to the educated, but to the certain, not to the moral, but to the present. Here are my practical takeaways for January's bonus biography. Charisma is not only character, because presence can open doors integrity cannot keep open. Desperation invites dangerous saviors, because fear accelerates trust and short-circuits discernment. Influence without accountability rots the system from within, especially during crisis. Killing the symbol never fixes the structure, because collapse is simply delayed, not prevented. Faith without humility becomes manipulation, and spirituality without restraint becomes a spectacle. Rasputin was not the devil, because he was not even a saint. He was just a mirror, and Russia shattered because it hated what it saw. Hope you enjoyed January's bonus biography. I'm your host, DeWitt, and Godspeed.